I'm Dennis Flores. I'm an assistant professor in the School of Nursing here at the University of Pennsylvania, and today I'm talking about our recent findings from a study that reports on the inclusive opinions of gay, bisexual, and queer adolescent males on inclusive sex communication. What we know across the country is that there is variation in terms of policy as far as sex education and inclusivity is in the public school system, and thus we know that there are many students in many states who are actually not receiving accurate and factual sexual health information or ones that are inclusive to the concerns of LGBTQ individuals. This is unfortunate because the provision of inclusive and accurate sexual health information is very important for this population because they have been at the receiving end of long-standing health disparities. For us to effectively address these inequities, there should be accurate, safe information that does not politicize or vilify members of the group. There are a couple of negative implications if the questions and concerns of gay, bisexual, and queer males are not addressed throughout the life course. For one, these discussions happening right now that prohibits these open conversations stigmatizes concerns of this community, and by extension, it sends the message that there's something wrong about talking openly about sexuality and gender. Additionally, if we don't provide this information when they are most curious about it, they will be engaging in behavior or might be looking for resources from non-vetted sources, and thus we will be fighting with inadequate or even questionable sources of information, and that really does not advance public health. The goal of this research project was to collect the feedback of gay, bisexual, and queer adolescent males about their ideal preferences for when conversations about specific topics on sexual health be conducted across the educational milestones that they will be going through. So it starts off from elementary, middle school, and through high school. Our study is one of the first of its kind to actually be focused and be mindful in soliciting the insights of this population so that they may inform programming for future cohorts of gay, bisexual, and queer males. Some of the main recommendations they had is basically to say that there are some topics that really younger people in elementary school are ready to learn about from their parents and from providers. So there was a host of topics that they delineated for age-appropriate conversations from first grade through sixth grade. Additionally, they reserved most of the topics to be discussed in middle school. According to our participants, prior to the onset of sexual debut, it is better to have discussions about these topics, especially at a time when members of the population are most curious about them and they would like to hear information from trusted adults. And then finally, there were some topics that they reserved later on for high school. These are more complex topics when they feel like members of this population are able to process things on a more abstract level. And so there is a gradation of topics in terms of complexity that they recommended, and they laid out strategies for how one can build on the prior conversations so that one can have more nuanced discussions later on. According to our participants, implications of the work in the policy arena is that there be equal space in the school setting for them to be able to talk to their teachers or respected adults, and that these discussions are not prohibited in the public school setting. Informed by our study on the inclusive and age-appropriate ways that parents can support LGBTQ adolescents, our next steps involves the Hillman Grant that seeks to create an intervention for parents on how to have crucial conversations. The Hillman Grant will assist parents in knowing about the information that is germane for their young person and having the skills to communicate about those specific topics. In tandem, we feel like the provision of education and skills to communicate about these topics will result in more factual, open, and honest conversations between dyads that hopefully will result in better health outcomes for adolescents. The typical ways that parents become aware of their child's LGBTQ sexual orientation or gender identity is typically through a disclosure of the young person to the parent themselves or accidentally. when, for example, parents see the text messages that their young person is exchanging with a friend, or look through the history of the young person's computer. For parents who are just discovering or being informed about the sexual orientation or gender identity of their young person, there are nonprofit organizations across the country that can provide resources and support for them. These groups include PFLAG, formerly Parents and Families of Lesbians and Gays, and Free Mom Hugs, which have different chapters across the country. There are also nonprofit organizations in academic institutions that provide resources to assist parents on how to deal with the acute disclosure and what are the ways that they can support the needs of their LGBTQ young person. As a member of the faculty in the ADO's LGBTQ Health Initiative out of the School of Nursing, we are creating intervention and resources so that parents and adolescents are able to have access to the data, to the resources that will ensure optimum positive health.